Lily. In this video interview, we're going to have a look at giving perspective of a tendency that we have found manifesting with many people, especially in the beginning of their processes of walking with destiny and applying and living the destiny tools of writing, self-forgiveness, practical application, walked within self-honesty, realization, understanding, and insight. And initially, within grasping, within seeing the context, the totality, the entirety of what it is that we're walking, meaning where one shift within oneself, go from only the mind to existence as a whole, and you actually start seeing, realizing, and understanding one's part within existence as a whole, that can be overwhelming, and that is often met with an experience that emerges within self. And that experience that emerges is often interpreted as energy. And because it is interpreted as energy, one then take that experience, interpret it as energy, and then take it through into one's mind. And within that stance, one can tend to create an energetic starting point of self within one's process, wherein the knowledge and information that one accumulates through the writings and the videos and other people's processes then only integrate into self as knowledge and information. And many can relate to this, where as you were watching the videos, the material and other beings' processes, that one create like ideas and playouts and fantasies and dreams about who self is and can be and become, and how the world is and will be and will change. And one then tend to remain in that state and accept and allow self to participate in those ideas and beliefs that self initially shape about self, about others, about process, and about the world. And not before long, one then tends to become lost within that alternate mind reality that is constructed about self, process, others, and the world as a whole, because one initially only absorbed knowledge and information with the starting point of energy. And then going from that alternate mind reality into actual practical application becomes a lot more difficult, because then one is trying to, at the same time as facing the reality of self, one is trying to become an idea or belief of self that was shaped regarding oneself and process and the world and others. And then many find the practical application of changing self for real a lot more difficult, because your main participation is in this idea or belief of self. And many use also then that idea or belief of self as a reference point for how self is practically walking one's process, when that is not the real self, when the real self is what is going on within your mind, within your physical doings, within your physical livings. And so in essence what happens is you create an alternate personality about who self wants to be and become. And then that alternate personality takes precedence over one's actual reality of self that's going on within one's thoughts and within one's reactions. And this can also be seen with, for example, where that alternate process personality, if you want to call it that, becomes very easy to go into that rush or excitement or adrenaline experience of wanting to enforce process, of wanting to like yell and shout and scream about, you must do this, you must be like that, we must be so and so, and you can't do that, or you must do it this way and that way. And I mean, when one goes into that state and you're starting to say you and they and them and we, and your focus is on everything and everyone else except on self, that's when a red flag should emerge, because one can then see in one's words that what one is sharing or showing is just knowledge and information. Because if it was an actual self-realization in showing a practical process that self has walked through self-writing, self-forgiveness, and self-corrective application, that experience or projection that self is portraying is not in fact real or valid. And one is then going into the savior complex of wanting to rescue everyone else before even walking one's own process of self-change. So why and how this happens is also a inherent unconscious mind manipulation, self-manipulation application, wherein we use personality creations, alternate personality creations, to not have to actually face and walk self, within one's mind consciousness system, as the thoughts and reactions and personalities that self actually consists of and exist as. So the mind will immediately, for example, utilize process or the principle of equality, and one is what's best for all, and change the world and things like that, and transform it into a personality, because that's in essence how we've walked with everything in our world and our reality. We have created personalities of everything to hide the actual real truth and nature within ourselves. So especially in the beginning of your process, be watchful of this initial creation of an alternate process personality, where one starts participating in ideas and beliefs about self and how self will be and become, and that one fantasize and dream about, and this idyllic world and reality, when you have not in fact walked the practical process of in fact being, becoming, living and doing that as self. And this also forms part of how the mind consciousness system uses knowledge and information within itself to create alternate personalities and mind realities. So know that when you are participating in ideas and beliefs about a changed self, but you have not in fact proven and shown that you have walked the practical process of changing yourself, which is writing, self-forgiveness, self-corrective application over a period of time, and proved it to you constantly and consistently, that whatever you're then sharing or speaking about or showing or wanting to enforce is in fact only knowledge and information, and not actual real self-sharing as a living example. You want to become a living practical example, and to be that, you've got to become humble within yourself in your process. You've got to actually take a back seat within yourself and not use or abuse the process of equality in one as other people's processes, information and knowledge in the videos or the material as parts or components of trying to construct a personality of yourself that you can portray and expose and reveal to others, so that others can have an idea, perception or belief about who, how and what you are. I mean, it will be immediately exposed, because we now obviously see what is the reference point for someone that is walking knowledge and information as a personality and not actual real self-change. Those that walk actual real self-change and implementing, living and applying the knowledge and information are those that do the writing, self-forgiveness, practical application, blogging and flogging, where we're walking as equals and one together. Trying to go to extremes of, oh, I'm the savior, I'm the rescuer, people rescue, save yourself, you must change, you must do this, you must do it that way and that way, with no reference to self and self's own process, is ego, in fact, where one then have accepted and allowed oneself to go into ego. So, here's just some perspective of just watching out for the mind's tendency of taking knowledge and information that one hear or see, constructing personalities to not in essence have to face self but go into ego, and not walking with the group, which is where we are establishing a starting point where human beings are actually walking the process together, equal and one, starting at the exact same point, writing, self-forgiveness, self-corrective application, and doing this together. And we are accumulating that one by one by one by one in the equality equation, walking the system step by step by step, within and without, in implementing a practical equality and oneness. So there's no point in trying to create or manifest an ego for yourself in how we're all walking, because we're quite sturdy and standing, because we've done it ourselves. It's who we are, and we're becoming a living example. So rather than going to ego, join us and realize, see and understand that there's more to self than just knowledge and information as ego, and that ego is in fact quite limited, because you can only project so much, and even that view, that ideal, that belief that self create within self and about the world and about others is completely limited. And eventually, if self do not face self and actually walk self's practical process, one will then tend to go into competition with others. When one ego will try and compete with those that are actually walking the actual practical process of self-change. That's why many fall within process as well, because they don't want to walk the practical process of changing themselves, then try and protect and defend their ego. Trying to become more. We're not about becoming more. We have, as an existence, tried to evolve, and it's turned into quite a fuck-up, when the actual point has been or become to be humble, to step back, to stand back, and to actually have a direct look at what it is that we're doing. It's not about becoming more, it's about becoming here. Thank you.